Good morning. I'm here again in my studio. I've opened the window so you guys can hang out with me for about 20 to 30 minutes today and watch what I'm up to. Today I am going to create and design a face mask, sort of using the same intuitive design process that I use to create my textured fiber paintings, my larger pieces. So that it'll end up being rather densely stitched and whatnot, but an abstract design with bright, bold colors. I've been sort of challenged to do this, or it's been suggested I make a mask sort of in line with my art by a couple people I know. So I decided, why not? Because I did finish my most recent textured fiber painting, Connected, in my Feeling series. I did finish that over the weekend, and it will go live next week, starting the week of July 20th. So hang around and come back and see it on the 21st if you'd like, or join my email list and you'll get to see it on the 20th because they get first reveal. So, and to join my email list, you go to hilaryclark.com and you can sign up over there. So, or drop me a note in the comments and I'll add you to my list, all right, with your email address. So anyway, I'm going to get started here because I want to try and see how much I can get done in 20 to 30 minutes with you here, so that then we can all kind of, I'll let you get back to your day. So I'm going to turn you so you can sort of see the table and see what I'm doing and how I'm working with this, okay? So I may come back and adjust from time to time on the screen depending on what I'm doing and where this thing is pointed. So I'll shift you back and we'll see what we got from there. So I'm going to tilt you a little. Let's see if it does. I'm going to turn and point you down. Sort of, there's my table, there's my iron. Probably going to end up cutting my own head off. Pretty much. We got a chin here. And I don't really like that. So let's see if we can get you still. Let me actually lower you. Lower the camera here. And see if that helps a little bit. So we'll see. Maybe not. That's worse. Okay, you gotta test this stuff before I do it. But anyway, all right, so forget it. We're just gonna do it like this, and maybe I'll crouch a little. So anyway, all right. So what I'm doing is I found a mask pattern back when this pandemic hit at a website called Maine DIY. Maine like the state, DIY.com, and I had to join her mailing list to get the pattern, but it was worth it because the patterns worked really, really well. I didn't like the rectangular ones. I found, interestingly enough, I can't make pleats. Who knew? It's probably part of why I don't make clothing, because those sorts of things are not just, I don't know, it doesn't work well. So the mask I had made has got this sort of curved shape, so it covers your nose. I lined it with like a felt fabric as opposed to a batting, so it's nice and soft on the face. The seams are enclosed so they don't rub on your face. And then I ignored her instructions in terms of creating elastic or anything like that, and I have God knows acres and acres and miles of this sort of plaid ribbon left over from my first wedding. He was of Scottish ancestry, not from Scotland, but not anytime soon or anytime recently, but we used his plaid in the wedding, and I have, like I said, miles of this ribbon, and I guess I've kept it to make my masks. So I sort of adapted that. So this was one I had made just very simply out of plain fabric, but I liked the pattern. And then I made my guy a whole bunch of ones with like Star Wars, because he actually has to go out in the world regularly and go to work. He's in the construction industry. It's an essential service, so he's at work regularly, and so he wears these, and so far they've done the right thing to keep him safe. So I'm using the same pattern, but I'm going to do something a little different today. Rather than just a single strip of fabric lined with the felt, I'm going to take pieces of fabric that I've actually already cut out, and that are shaped like this, right? And there's two of them, so it's identical, because then I'll stitch this. This will be the center seam here along the curve, and I'll stitch them together. But what I want to do, what I decided I was going to do, is I was going to go ahead and fuse my design pieces to it first before I stitch it, because I did stitch the lining together and it gets the curve, and so then it would become much harder for me to do the very dense stitching that I do when I make my textured fiber painting. I'm not adding a batting to this mask because I think there's just going to be, I think that would just create too many layers and make it hard to breathe through. This construction with this felt and the piece of fabric, I can still breathe even in the 100-degree Florida heat. Now I'm not wearing it when I go for my walk, so I can't speak to how well it might work then. But it's maintained its life cycle through the delicate loads on the laundry. That's how I wash it. So I want something fairly similar with this, and then I'm going to stitch these few pieces down so densely that they really shouldn't do anything. They'll still be raw edged applique, so there's going to be a little bit of fraying around the edges. That's just part of the process. And so it'll fray a little when I go to wash it once I get it completed and can wear it, but it won't fray beyond that outside line of stitching, because it just can't. But anyway, like I said, so I want to take my colored bits and attach, and design it to this, and then stitch it together, so that I don't have to work with this warp. And then once it's all stitched, once all the sort of dense stitching is done to get all the design elements complete, then I can stitch that center seam, I can attach these two pieces together, and then you turn them inside out and you attach the ribbon. But today what I want to try and do is get through the design piece of it, and I will probably finish making the mask today, just because, it's not something that takes tremendous amounts of time. But for today, like I said, I'm designing it. And so I've got this sort of purple. I love purple. I love fuchsia. Fuchsia is actually my favorite color, but I like using fuchsia more as a design element sometimes. And I tend to use a lot of it, although I don't have as much of it as you'd think I would. So anyway, whatever. Lots of ums today. So anyway, so I've added two pieces of fuchsia here kind of in the center, and it's a little hard to see that. We'll tilt the camera a little closer as we get, actually I'm going to bring it closer and let you sort of look just at my hands and what I'm creating. And I'm kind of having fun with this because I have lots and lots of little scraps of fabric that I've used over time to make my art. And and I've collected them. I don't know why I saved them all, but I tend to do that. Or I shouldn't say I don't save them all, but I save a fair amount of them. There, get a tip. There you go. You can see it a little bit better, right? So, if I move it closer, experimentation. Anyway, I want to kind of keep these lined up so that I can sort of see how it's going to come, how it's roughly going to look when I get it stitched together. So we're going to just go from here. So, like I said, I got purple. I got a couple pink elements here. There's a little fold here because I had this stuff in a Ziploc, but it will press down. I'm starting with the pink. It's very subtle. There's not much contrast there. As we continue to build this out, we'll get more contrast. But like I said, I had this whole Ziploc bag of little tiny scraps, and so here's some red scraps, and here's some blue strips, and here's a little bit of like white silver, and so I had this tiny piece of green that I may or may not use. We'll see. And so now what I want to do is I basically just want to start taking these, and I'm going to need my glasses, so when I put them on. And I want to start kind of creating some contrast because I tend to like different contrasts. And I may still trim some of these as well. So for right now, I want things to sort of radiate out from these pink bits. And so I'm just going to start placing bits of fabric down to kind of see. This is really, I'm just winging it. I don't quite know what I want to do with them yet. I know I know I want to use this piece. So I'm going to trim off this little weird edge because I don't want it. And I'm going to lay it like that. I'm going to fold it a little, play with it, kind of repress it the other direction just to kind of take that little kink out a little bit. Put that there. And I don't know if I necessarily want this to have corresponding colors on either side, but why not? I might do that, but not have them in the same place like that. So like, see, I've now spread a couple pieces of yellow there. The goal is to get this to where I can press it and show it to you complete. So we'll go from there. I now want some orange because orange is a really good contrast color with purple. It really kind of goes against, so I'm like, do I like that orange? Yes, these are some longer bits, so I think what I want to do here is I'm going to take this is a rotary cutter. It's like a pizza cutter and super, super sharp. And I'm going to take it. If I can't get the end bend the way I want it to, I will end up moving it. And I don't want to go too far to the edge because that edge is going to actually end up disappearing underneath the ribbon when I put the ribbon. So I'm going to pull this in here, and then I will cover this back up with this piece. Maybe. We'll see. Kind of thinking out loud here as I do this. Yeah, I don't like that. it that way, more that way. Maybe underneath the, that's actually not bad. All right, with a little bit of yellow over the top of it. And I'm going to pull it, actually I'm going to pull this orange edge all the way to the edge so it'll get hidden in the seam. I'm going to put that other bit, I don't want the other bit, we do this up top, with again with the yellow over it. We'll see. Again, I want this to be kind of, it's going to be very abstract because I make primarily abstract art. I have these fun little bits. These are fun. Let me see. Subtle, possibly. I'm going to hang those to those. Those will go on top. And then I've got this gold one, which is fun too. I'm going to set those aside because those might be fun on here. A little bit of green. Green will be fun. I've got, this is fun. I made something once with a bunch of curly cues. So I'm going to use this curly cue because I didn't really know what else to use it for. So, and I tend to have everything radiating off something else. So I want to position that like this. I'm trying to stay other than the center edge, I'm trying to stay kind of away from the outside edges because those will be covered up with the seam, but that one actually looks good there. This is too dark. No, maybe not. Oh, I've got these bits. Look at that. Maybe with the orange on top of it. Yes. So I've got green and green. I'm trying to at least do like corresponding in terms of either side. So let's see what I've got for reds. These reds too dark. Those reds are too dark. These were like a really dark kind of brick red, and that's too much. Red's not the best color to contrast with purple, just because it doesn't stand out. And the blue is subtle. The blue is very subtle. I don't know about the blue. I got lighter blue, so let's see what I got. As my hands get closer to the camera. Yeah, no, I don't want blues. Blues and reds aren't going to work, so those are going to end up going back in the Ziploc. These might be fun. So again, I'm going to set those aside. All right, so this means I want, since it looks like my greens and my oranges and my yellows are really my better options, I'm going to add a little bit more of those to each. This is a big piece, which again I can trim. Let me think about that one. This one's more of the appropriate size. I could put it up here. Let me trim this little end off. Is that the right side? Yeah. Let me trim that off. I'm going to throw in my bits. And I want to trim that raw edge just because I'm going to give it a little bit of a curve. It's kind of a slight swoop. I'm going to lift this pink up. I'll put this right there. So there'll be some green along the bridge of my nose when I'm done. That one. Actually, I'm going to pull that back out because I want to make that more of a point. That's what I hid. So I want this to kind of this is what I'm doing when I make the bigger pieces too. A lot of times I do more swooping pieces, but I want to kind of have a little bit of space between them. There we go. That's better. All right, so then this guy, what do I want? I don't want the green next to the green. So, I actually don't want to use him after all. Got this darker green. This guy could go over here. Let's do this. I'm going to use this guy. I'm going to put him under the orange over here. Again, kind of as a let the orange stand out a bit more. And think a bit more yellow, and then I'm going to try these pieces. Or a bit more orange. The yellow is really contrasting nicely. So let me see what I got here for yellow. Ooh, a nice fun yellow bit. More over here, I think. So let me give this more of an abstract sort of elliptical shape. That's what I think I want for this. I'm going to tuck it slightly under that and slightly over that. And some up here. And then I want the other yellow bit over here. So I need one more up here. So let's see, maybe this little piece. Okay, I don't like that. I'm actually sort of liking this. I don't know how much you guys can see of this. I will turn this in a bit. I am going to use these just because they're fun. I want to see what I can see where I don't want to lose that curve though. Drop that. Maybe up here. Kind of like that. And this one's a corresponding color, so I'm thinking out loud, people. That's sort of how this works. A little bit like that. And we'll lose some of these into the scene, but that's okay. Let's see what we got for these fun, sparkly colors. I'm not cutting as many of these as I thought I would be. You know, into different shapes. I'm kind of okay with them being the bits and pieces that they were. Sometimes tucking them underneath is the hardest part. I'm sort of trying to fill in holes here without losing too much of the purple, because I don't want to lose too much of the purple. Also got to make sure they've got stuff behind them, otherwise they're just not going to work well. This one I do want to straighten out a bit. Nope. Want to. Another thing of orange. I think we need a little more orange. The polka dot orange. Let's see what we got here. Again, I don't want to lose that completely. This will not be a feeling. Usually what I create is feelings. Position that. That's not what this one will be. That's a big fat piece. That's too big. That's way too big. Turn this guy down. And where would it go? So I want a reasonable amount of balance too. There's balance and there's contrast. It's this piece that's sort of throwing me here because of its curved shape here. We're going to turn it a little. So I think I need toothpicks, or tweezers rather. A little better. Where can we orange that way on that bit? Okay, here we go. I've got a lot of straight edges on this, which isn't my usual thing, and so it's part of what has me thinking here. Get the sharp edges are throwing me. So let's get that a little bit of a curve. My work tends to have a little bit more wave to it. So how did I have that piece? There we go. That's better. So that's that. That one's okay. That's got a curve. This one I can live with. This needs to get narrower. That one's okay. That one's all right. Again, the silver's got to do something different. I don't mind maintaining the larger shape around it, but I want more of a gotta be careful when I do this because sometimes it messes with my. There we go, get rid of that ledge. I'm starting to wonder about this piece. I don't know about this guy after all. Maybe this one. Oh, yeah, better. Even though it's more polka dots, but. Now that green piece has to move to where? I'm thinking hard here. Better. I don't know. I'm still not liking that green though. Maybe this darker green. A little more so. Yeah. A little more subtle. I think what's happening is I'm not seeing. I'm not looking for I'm not trying to be matchy-matchy. That's not what I'm going for here. I've got two pieces of orange that work for me. Actually, maybe I will make this more, tiny bit more. There, some similarity there. I still want this guy up. That one there. This. I think it's because this piece of yellow is too big. Swap it out for this one. Put it over here. There we go. That's a little better. Move those out of my way. Again, I know I'm sort of talking to myself here, kind of out loud, kind of to you. Spread that out. Yes. And then I think I want to just take this and go like that. Where's my green pile? Got some bits I don't want. There we go. Kind of ties them together. I gotta stand back a little bit. Let me look at this. Take my glasses off. Kind of evenly there. This guy's got to turn a little. So I'll hold it out. Other way. I think I'm going to do this. I think I'm going to go ahead and fuse this down. So this is what, can I see? So that's kind of what I've come up with. It'll be a little different. And now I'm going to attempt to pick these up very carefully because I don't want to mess them up. First I'm going to turn my iron on. Or plug it in rather. And lay out my fusible. I'm just going to very slowly and carefully, and we're coming right up on 30. Very carefully pick these up and place them on my sort of Teflon sheet so that nothing sticks to the ironing board. That would be fun. Here, let's pick it all up. So, from there. I could have probably filled these up with significantly more, but I don't want it to be so densely stitched that it's super stiff either. This was kind of an experiment one anyway. I'll continue to play with them. You turn the steam off for this. The fusible stuff doesn't stick quite as well when you steam it. So I usually use a different iron for it, but I needed to press fabric and I needed the steam for pressing these seams and pressing the rest of it together. So we shall see what happens there. And I'll be curious to see how this comes out once I stitch the center seam together. I think I'm okay kind of on the outside edges. It'll be close enough, but we'll see what happens. I may have a little bit that's going to overlap or get covered by the ribbon when I do it around the ears. But it's all right. So the goal was to get this sort of designed and fused, and then I can spend some portion of my day today stitching it and finishing it up and getting it complete. Then maybe I work to the grocery store tonight. Fun stuff. The adventures of leaving the house during a pandemic. You get all excited about going to the grocery store. So yeah, so they're all stuck on there now, which is what we wanted. So now I've got one piece that looks like this, and I know it's a little abstract and odd, but that's my art. And then I got one piece that looks like this. And I'm going to take them and I'm going to put right sides together along that seam, or along the curve rather. And then I'll stitch them at about a 1/4 inch seam, and then I will attempt to press that seam open. It won't go well. These little narrow things, or a little 1/4 inch seam is difficult to kind of press together, but I'll stick a couple pins in it just to hold it in place. And I'll finish it up. And then Thursday, if you come back around the same time again, 10 a.m. Central, or Central Eastern, I live on the Eastern time zone now, I'll show you the finished product. So, or I'll try to remember to show you the finished product because I'll be curious to see how this comes out. So that's what I've got for you today. Let's shift you up where we can see you. I'll sit down here. So I want to thank you for hanging out with me in my studio today. We'll see how this mask comes out. It was totally an experiment. But I hope you enjoyed this. If you're seeing this now or you see this later, drop me a comment below. Tell me what you think. And we'll go from there. If this thing comes out successfully, maybe I'll make a few more and open them up for sale. We'll see. But if nothing else, it advertises my art when I wear it to the grocery store itself, right? So have a great remainder of your day. I hope you go do something fun and productive. Maybe get outside the four walls of your home while still being safe and wearing your own mask and being physically and socially distant. And wash your hands and all that good stuff, so that one day, someday in the future, we can get out of this pandemic and get back and socializing together again. But until then, take care, be safe, be healthy, get creative, make good art. Take care. Bye-bye.